I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion. Yes, upstanding citizens, it is that time of the week again where we bring you those fabulous, most incredible Africans on the continent. My name is Ntiki Mazwai, as you know. This is Unpopular Opinion. Our hashtag is up. Today's guest, we are saying, I'm trying to introduce you. We're talking.
Why was I invited?
No, I'm definitely
This invitation. Whoever is watching, this girl is naughty. And this, I'm going to charge you for abuse of old maid. African maid for that matter.
Guys, welcome to Seth Mazibuko. He's already introduced himself. Thank you for coming. One of the leaders of June 16 is here to give us the history. I'm already heated up that they said, what is it that you're giving off a vibration?
Yeah, that's good to hear. But maybe it is important that as we start, and Ziggy, I always, when I'm requested or having to get into an interview about June 16, I always take June 16 very seriously. It is, to me, sometimes as I talk about the day itself, I get into tears.
Yeah, I know.
And it is because, to me, I must first make a first declaration, even particularly to your youth listeners and maybe viewers. Yeah. I apologize. My apology comes in this that now, in 1994, when we got the so-called democracy.
When we got the vote, that is useless.
Yes, we all, as leaders, left our townships, left you young people leaderless. And then we became, we wanted the BEE. We rushed. And we wanted to be MPs, the honorables. And even when we became the honorables, we actually...
You distanced yourself
from the people. Yeah. And you go to Kasi now, you go to the township, there's no leader. And that is why even students of the hashtag Fees Must Fall had to take the struggle away from us, mainly because we lost it.
So take me back. I want you to take me back all the way. Like, how did you grow up? What were the circumstances? We want a picture, because you know what? We're going to white schools now, and the white schools don't give us the history.
Okay. Hey, no. Don't even blame the white schools for that matter.
What do you mean I mustn't blame the white schools?
Blame the Minister of Education.
Fine, let's blame
Let me tell you. One page about June 16 in the curriculum of the matric. Oh, stop there. The reference of the history of 1976 is Sarafina. I asked a kid the other day, do you know Hector Peterson? You know what she said to me? Yes, I do. Who's Hector Peterson? Sarafina. That's a black child. That could be your daughter.
That's why we called you.
This is something that is embarrassing. That should be embarrassing the minister. And what do you expect then the white schools to do if the black child and the black minister doesn't promote and protect and preserve the history and heritage of black people or African people? Huh? I can tell you, ask any white child about Hiroshima. Ask any white child about Holocaust. Ask any Boer boy about Goedewop, Dromaderies, and Reche 1652 in April. I even know it. But ask our children about June 16.
Ask our children, who is Seth Mazibuko?
Zesh. But who's Seth Mazibuko?
Fine.
Let me give it to you.
Give it to me. Thank you.
And with all the courtesy that you can give it to the people. I grew up in Orlando East.
Okay.
Born, bred and battered there. And I was a boy that I never had the glamour of being, in big schools or whatever. But with Kasi, I was in a school I started to school at a school called Tebalihle, a primary school. Schools were associated with churches at the time. So our school was associated with a church called Dutch. So when you speak to a person, this is a Dutch Reformed church.
Yes.
So then a person of my age, when you ask about the school, said, "We're from the Dutch."
Yes.
So because it was a Dutch Reformed school. And then I grew up in that environment, and I come from, we are three, and 2 boys and 1 girl. And my
Where are
older
you? Which
sister-
number are you? You must be the middle child. You're the middle child.
Yeah. First. Got you? I'm the first one. And,
I thought because you're a troublemaker, you had to be a middle child.
But, maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but let me
Yes.
tell you, my brother passed on, who comes after me. Ngosandile, umzwandile, ufakazi.
Okay.
Don't you like
Beautiful.
My father and mother were clever.
Poetic.
Now, what happened is that my brother was somehow involved in my arrest. Ask me how. It's a sad story whenever I tell you my brother passed on and he still felt very guilty about this.
How old were you? You must give us context.
By the way, on the 16th of June, I just turned 15th on the 15th. I just turned 16 on the 15th. So the eve of June 16th was my birthday. And yes,
And you were 15.
I was only 15, just turned 16. And that's how young I was. My brother was a boy at the time of about 9. And then the next thing that happened is that now when the police came for me, and the soldiers and all that big, huge guys, when they came for me,
But you're not giving us. Why would they come for you? What happened to lead them to? I'll see.
Zompata.
Zokupata 5 million.
Okay.
Because we want to get the story and we want to see it.
I come from a very strong Christian background.
Yes.
Those days, you would either belong to a youth club, you would either belong to a church club and all that. So I belong to a club. And many of us, including your current president, by the way, we used to be my senior in Young Ambassadors Christian Movement.
No way.
I am telling you, Mzalwane.
So why did you call him to order? Why did you call him to order?
Mzalwane. Usindisiwe lo muntu. Pastor.
Oh, that's why.
So I grew up in this club, and there were a lot of. So where my leadership, if you were to ask, many of the leaders that time had sort of connections with either the church or the clubs.
Yes.
That's where you got a lot of this training. So I was also in the SCA, Student Christian Movement, of the time.
Who would be the leaders of these movements?
Well, we're more, let me tell you, thanks to Black consciousness. Black consciousness was very good. It didn't only liberate our minds, but it also placed in our minds this, that you're Black, we're proud. And then you're African.
Yes.
And, you're Steve Bigos of that. Seth Cooper, Straining Moodley, Muntu Mieza, Nkwenkwenkomo, the list goes on. I'll give you some time that list, then you can do your research.
Yes,
but what is more important is that we grew in this Black consciousness environment.
So this is you're about 12 to 14.
Yes, I'm a little boy.
You're okay, just
and
entering
another thing,
teenage.
I got into leadership not by choice. I got the circumstances I grew under were very, very, very tough. Actually, any person at that time who will tell you that now I chose to be a leader or I chose to be involved in the struggle will be lying. That time is the circumstance. I used to walk from Orlando East to Orlando West. That is where my secondary schooling was. And we started the boycotting against Afrikaans as a medium of instruction in our school. And I know that this is never given as a credit. No, I mean secondary school.
Oh, now, okay. And where was that?
Orlando West.
Okay.
Right at
By
Vilakazi Street. It's Orlando West. That time it was called Orlando West.
High.
Orlando West Junior Secondary. Now it's called Pesesco. It's called Pefeni Secondary School. Right diagonal opposite Winnie Mandela's house.
Yes, I was about to say by Vilakazi.
Right.
Actually, my father went there.
We used to actually watch Mama Winnie coming out in a red Volkswagen, the big girl, and we were not allowed to talk to this woman, but. She was this kind of a person that we say, no, and we call each other, so we're standing on the fence, and then we want to see her. But the me go back and say, I was in that school. I'm a Form 2 girl. I'm a Form 2 boy.
Yes.
You know what is Form 2?
It's grade 9.
Yes.
Grade 9. I know.
And then the next thing,
Standard. Right?
and then the next thing, again, whenever we talk June 16, we seem to put emphasis, make it a boys' club thing.
Yes.
It is, there was many women, many students that were female that participated and even led. One of them is Sibongile Mkhabela. I'm sorry, she's not feeling well, but she knows I love her. And again, the students who approached me as a student leader in that school being a head boy.
Really?
Prefect.
Awesome.
And I was also holding the keys. I will open the gate, close the gate.
Oh my God, understand. So you've always had
I was this well-behaved boy. Be careful.
Not anymore, though.
I'm going to leave the studio now. Okay, but what was interesting is that there was this we were doing a Veskende.
Yes.
And
Geography.
Yep.
Yes.
And this teacher was teaching us in Afrikaans, and she had difficulties. She would give us work and say, I can't teach you in Afrikaans, go and find out. So you had the language barrier before you can even get into the content of the subject you are dealing with. So you had to start saying, if it's maths, you dare to say, Driwuke. That's your triangle. And it was tough. But this teacher, if you have not done your homework or your assignment, then will give us corporal punishment. So there was this morning, it was very cold, and these girls were given corporal punishment. They were crying. So they came to me and said, look, we can't take this anymore. And this is tough for us. So if you were to say who instigated 1976, I'll tell you girls, you. You are the first one who approached Seth. Then I said, okay, we are going to meet in the afternoon. We met after school, and then we started talking and saying, okay, on Monday, it was on a Thursday, but on Monday, we are not going to class. That morning, on a Monday, on the 28th of April, so June 16 was not on June 16.
Yes,
There's always
there was
a build up to that. So we went into the assembly when the principal said, we used to have assembly in the open air. So the principal says, move into your classrooms. No. Then I jumped up, see a smaller end, jumped in the front. Pants in Afrikaans, pants in phone. We took off our blazers.
I'm sure now this is when you're 15.
Yes, now I'm 15 now. And then we took off our blazers and our jerseys, and then we had shirts that were written away with Afrikaans, school shirts. Away with Afrikaans. If Foster wants us to learn in Afrikaans, he must learn in Zulu. And then these were some of the, all the inscriptions on the back of our shirts and everywhere. Then we decided we are not going to class. So we started then as SESCO. Then the South African Student Movement, SASM.
Yeah.
And must understand the context also, that at that time Black Consciousness was actually the one that was leading the Black Consciousness movement. And they were the main organizations within the Black Consciousness.
And
was
who were
SASO.
the leaders of?
SASO was Dr. Rampila Mampila, and it was Steve Biko. They were leading SASO, which is South African Student Organization,
yes,
which was a university student organization.
So all the universities had SASO members.
That is it. And the SASO was also responding to a white organization called NUSAS, National Union of South African Students, which were white liberals. Abelungu abasithandayo, besibabiza kanjalo. Abelungu abasithandayo, basikhulumelayo, with at universities.
But they don't experience it.
No. Helen Suzman, besikhulumela eParliament. They did, kind of a thing. And then we respected Gogoshe. But let's go back. Yes. So there was SASO. SASO was actually a response to Steve Bigos was saying, when they say black men, you are on your own, they were talking about how white people, in New South, so they formed SASO.
Because we can speak for ourselves.
And we feel the oppression.
Yes.
There's no one who
You
feels
can't speak on
oppression
behalf of other people. That's arrogance, actually.
Yes, actually, that's carrying your nose up.
Yes.
And then after that, then we had a high school level, we had SASM. It's SASO, then SASM. SASM is South African Student Movement.
Okay.
SASO, SASM. Then we had an after tertiary, when we work on BPC, Black People's Convention.
Okay.
What was more interesting is that out of those three Black Consciousness Movement organizations, there was one that was focusing on the development of Black people, which was called a Black Community Programs. That gave birth to Zanempilo. My son, by the way, is Zanempilo.
Beautiful.
So Zanempilo Clinic in Ginsberg.
Yes.
That was built by Black Hands. Black Hands, and that was a program of Black people building their own clinic. And something that is dead now. You know, amapunas asakhela nama university, azakhela ama university whilst we are busy sidla imali yamadumi. Yes, imali yamadumi. Imali yamadumi le kudla imali yama-sanitizer. Okay. Imali yama-sanitizer amabhunu, same amount they used to build universities. Okay, siyekela is another day.
Don't hurt me.
I promise you that's
what the blacks did.
How mean we are.
With the same money. The whites built schools and
we built 10 of our sanitizer. Kasiyeke. Sidle imali yama-sanitizer amadumi. Elinye ilanga lelo esizoyikhuluma ngamadumi. Now, let's move. And then I was talking about the Black Community Programs.
Yes.
That's the one that also started, I'm an African band. We started talking very much Black. That's the one that started with Dr. Motani, Dr. Asvat, who used to run a clinic, they used to run a clinic in a very dirty place around Rockville. Those were Black projects. Those who were getting seven.
So that's why these people are famous. We just know their names. We're just like, so these are our final icons, but we don't know what they did.
Yeah, but you must understand that also. Even if you come out of Robben Island or you come out of detention, you will not be allowed to go to a government hospital or clinic or school. I came out of Robben Island, I was a teacher. I'm coming to that. But I was never allowed. You cannot teach in a government school. Apartheid will never allow you. So you then go to private schools. We started at that time mostly what we used to call the Black independent schools.
Which were those? I don't even know about them.
I'm coming to that. That's another history. I would doubt if this interview is going to be enough.
You're going to have to come again.
You know what I mean? I must come with chapter 10. But I would like at some point that we engage on this issue of how Black people, in saying Black men, you are on your own, how Black people created programs, those programs that benefited also Black people, that made Black people to be on their own under very difficult conditions. And some of those programs, we cannot come up with them now in the so-called democratic South Africa, led by Blacks. But we came up with those when it was still under apartheid. That's what makes me angry with this government. That's what makes me bitter. Call me angry, call me bitter. There are things we just cannot do. You know, if you go to an African school, I was just sharing with you just before we went on air, that now, I went to this beautiful school, St. Andrews. Then the same week, I was same 2 days after that, then I went to another school in the Ekasi, in Makanda. I said, good Lord, how do we still live with this area and this area, this school and that school?
Super rich, super poor.
And I challenge, and I still challenge. On Friday, I was humbled by the city of Johannesburg. They gave me an award on the unsung heroes.
Congratulations.
Thanks. But what is more hurting with me, you will go to Alexander, the other side, center, And even yasazi isitori sokuthi wathi omunye umuntu ehlala la Alex eGomora bambuza ukuthi uhlala pho what is eGomora? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what is happening again? Then you take a statue sakamandela usifaka eSandton abantu abamnyama just across abasazi.
Hey, but it belongs in Senton.
Yeah.
You understand?
I didn't say that. She said that.
I didn't say it. I'm gonna get fired for my job.
But understand the idea. How do you take the black history and heritage and give it to them and leave your own not to have? That is still, I think some people still have to be charged.
I also think so.
I
also think so.
You don't need a commission don't need a Zondo commission on this. You just need a judge who will tell them. Actually, you need Zondo as the judge now of the Constitutional Court and say, go. Robben Island.
But now, isn't it?
No, Satya, Robben Island. Yeah, but let's go back to the history of 1976.
Yes.
Then after that, I was called then by SAZM. That's the context I was giving you, SAZM. Called by SAZM, there were primary schools also that were involved. And yes, there's a school just next to Hector Peterson Memorial now called Bele Primary. By the way, we were able to negotiate with the department. We've changed the name of that school. It's now called Mbuyisa Makubu Primary in honor of Mbuyisa, who has since disappeared. And this government knows exactly where he is, but they're scared of him. That's why they won't go and fetch him wherever he is. That's another day. That's another chapter. Let's find Mbuyisa Makubu. Okay. I said I'm not going to cry. I sometimes cry.
Yeah, please. I know you like crying. Please. Okay. But we had an episode the other time where we were like, no, we need to allow men to cry. But not now, please.
I'm not going to cry. I promise you, I'm not going to cry. But what was more important is that then M.E. Bele and in Orlando East M. joined the boycott. Remember that Afrikaans was not introduced in senior high schools. Afrikaans was introduced in junior secondary schools and in primary schools. The introduction, by introduced at that level to start preparing us for your matric, that now you come to matric, then you'll write it in Afrikaans, but as like Alela. So it was junior secondary. So if you say Morris Isaacson started, it's wrong. If you say Naledi High started, it's wrong because they did not have Afrikaans then because they were senior high schools. It was junior secondary that started with Afrikaans.
Is this connected to the Bantu Education Act?
Exactly.
Okay.
You must
unpack that for us also.
I will. That goes back to 1953 and all that. Do you have time?
Daddy, I'm here. I called you. I said, come to my couch. We want to hear the history of our youth, what's happening with our youth and what you guys did.
So what happened is that then after that 1976, so what we did in March, on the now 18th of May, SAZM calls their AGM at Valgespreid. There was also another black community programs that were running there. And then Valgespreid was in the other side of Roodepoort. And again, it was a church setup where black people used to go and hide. And we used to call it hibernation. It was a place where we would do our underground work and all that. That is where you will even find some of the black priests, even when they give you money that time, they will put money in a Bible.
Yes.
It was not a corrupted money. It was money that was meant to assist in the struggle. So we'd meet there. So SAZM met there, and SAZM then took a resolution to support these schools that were already boycotting classes.
Okay.
So then a meeting was called. Never lose that. And I'm going to make you write a test with all your crew members there after this. Never forget the date, the 13th of June.
Okay.
13th of June in a hall called YMCA DOCC in Orlando East. Mm-hmm. Students met for the first time, Soweto students, and representatives of Soweto schools. That's when the action committee that now planned and led June 16 was elected. That's where Tsietsi Mashinini was elected the president, may his soul rest in peace, and then I was elected his deputy. So
We're so privileged. Thank you.
I'm the only standing member that is still alive. Unfortunately, we too. It's Sbongile. Because Sbongile, then that was the action committee. So all the time when you think June 16 was led by a student action committee. The action committee was Tsietsi, me, Sbongile, Mefi Robben, and Linsri. We're about 6 of us. That is when we now decided that we are going to march on the 16th. Ask me 3 days only in between. It was a Sunday, the meeting of the 13th. June 16 was Wednesday.
How did you get the information too? Because it happened across the
Let
country.
me tell you. And there were no cell phones.
Yes.
And there was phone.
Yes, how did you guys?
And when I say, it's like the July last year.
Yes.
If people are on that edge, you just need to touch
Like
people by a move.
down. Yeah.
That is it. Maybe next time when I come in, if you do invite me, we have developed a document called The Chronology of Events of 1976. Don't worry, quietly we're working.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
you. So that just tells you the whole history. It's dates and months and of what happened in 1976.
When they say Robert Sobukwe started it, what do they mean?
Robert Sobukwe wasn't good. Robert Sobukwe was not around at the time. Was in the Free State, and you must remember that actually they say Seth Mazibuko, who was then the lion of the
lion
Zaire.
of
Yeah. Yes. I'll tell you why. He is one old man who did not start it, who supported us. By the way, when I went down after my sentencing, we'll come to that. When we went down to Robben Island, I was chained with him in the truck. The old man that sat with me was chained the whole way from Johannesburg, Leeuwkop prison to Robben Island in Cape Town. I'm telling you, it was Baba or Mtupi. There was also another one, Wabkwala, and
so these were elders.
Were elders.
Who were helping the
Mofet
youth.
Zungu, yeah. And these are people, they are unsung heroes. We never even talk about them. And there's another thing, can I jump into it quickly before I forget? Because I've got this thing of forgetting. I have a problem. Why are we changing the dates that are historical to black people? Why are we calling Heritage Day? We have Brevo's Day.
Right.
We're having 21st of March.
We fought that battle.
Yeah.
The whites know not to call it Pride Day. Don't worry. This youth fought this one.
21st of March is supposed to be Shovel Day. Under apartheid, we used to call it, as black people used to call it Heroes Day. But now that there's democracy, now it's called Human Rights Day. What is that? Pack that and go with it.
It's an erasure.
Yeah, and we are deleting history. We're deleting our heritage. We are trying, yes. And we're deleting all of it. Where there was
and adopting Christmas and Easter, things that are not relevant.
Exactly. And there must be a strong campaign that looks at these dates in the history and heritage of African and black people. That those dates were, as I usually say, where our values, our virtues, and victories are hidden. I gave you the 3 V's. Stay on them. We have since, as black people, we have deleted our own history and heritage.
Our own greatness.
Our own victories. We have misrepresented our own victories and values, for that matter, and virtues. Now,
and morals.
They come from, we talk morals, we talk values. You know what I'm trying to say? We have become unethical and all that, mainly because
the way by
mamela apha sisi awusamnika umuntu ngokumnyama imali ukuthi enze iprogram bathi uzayitya kodwa nikeza khona umunye ubaba engafuna ukumbiza ngegama lakhe omlungu be racist. I'm be careful here. ivaliwe SAA angiyazi.
Yes.
Uyamazi lo tata?
Ngiyajabula mawutsho.
Uyamazi lo tata loyo?
Ndimazi kahle yebo. Lowe A.
Andizange ngisho lo.
Okay, sharp.
Phuma kuwe ke le.
Okay, sharp.
I-Eskom ayisebenzi.
Yes.
I-load shedding.
Yebo.
Uyamazi utata?
Ndiyamazi lo D.
Baningi labo tata. Into nje qha. Labo tata bayitye le mali kamandi bona. Because they just, yes. So,
do you remember how sorry to cut you off, but the money they can't recover, Eskom, they paid some white people.
They can't.
Now they're like, no, we can't recover the money. But that girl's bringing the money from Sasa, also jail.
Yes. And nalamtana lo bani lo thola imali yeNSFAS.
Oh, he was bringing the money. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Akuqalele umntana abantu jele. Okay. Basayike nangoku. Ndithetha nawe nje bayitye nangoku. And they will start another private company. That private company then must replace what? Bazivalele le mali lena and all of that. Siyabuya lapho. Another thing that I must talk about. I'm happy that we've got a program like this. Because again, to me, it is how do we, as African people, that our government has failed us, even in preserving, protecting, and promoting our history and heritage. How do we start moving into, we are talking June 16 today, although we're there and there.
Yeah.
But the point is, how do you get this not to be sold to BBC? No, but let me tell you, you know that's something that is very embarrassing, is that SABC buys a documentary, year June 16. They buy it from BBC. So your history is sold in Britain, sold back to you. It's what we are doing with all our resources, our gold, our diamond, and everything. It goes that side and then it comes in another shape and we buy it. That is why I say, a campaign that you and I are going to start, a campaign of Babopha abantu bangise Robben Island. Asingayenzi Robben Island indawo nje yama tourists, but ake sivule nje ama cell I2 labese bafaka khona.
Those cells are too small. The cells are too small.
Yeah, but you see what is beautiful? No, again, let's go to Robben Island.
Yes,
Robben Island has a section that used to be called klipgooiers, stone throwers. A section of Robben Island. When you go to Robben Island, they'll only tell you
went to jail for throwing stones.
Yep. And that's what they called it. That section, klipgooiers, most of your June 16 leaders were locked in an area called klipgooiers. And can I tell you again?
Yes.
They are hiding that section of Robben Island from coming out. The opening Lega.
Wow, this is
there are 8 sections in Robben Island. There's A section. A section used to be a section where they're keeping a lot of what they used to call ultra-militant prisoners. The mostly black consciousness leaders were kept in A section. Then there was a B section. B section. It used to be called Lekernye. Well, inside we call it leaders section. Lekernye, it's lekker, command. Nye is 1, because they used to get more privileges. That is where most of your leaders were. Laba, they were in that section. That's a section called B section. There was a C section. Otherwise I would get arrested and then they call them Tanam. Now, let me tell you.
I'm in so much shock.
Let me tell you. This is something that. Let's do the next show. Let's do it at Robben Island.
Fine.
Let's do it there.
Fine, we need sponsors.
Now,
give me the other sections. Okay, fine.
Then there's a C section. C section, that is your reception section, where when you come in, you stay for 3 months or so. They evaluator.
Okay.
Then there was
how dangerous of a castle.
That's it.
Okay.
Then there was a D section, and again D section is not promoted because you are Namibians.
Okay.
All the comrades from Soweto,
Wow.
Southwest Africa then, and then they will bring them a D section. We used to call D section. So,
We had Namibians in Robben Island fighting our struggle.
Amen.
And then we're coming with the doula.
Amen.
Wow, okay.
As I can finish it to
Yeah, no, fine. I'm noting the tape. Our people were in jail with us.
Yes. Now then there was an E section. E section, there was a section, Klephooiers.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And then there was F and G. F and G, there used to be sections where people were allowed to go and do some work outside and all that. And then there was the H section, which was a hospital section. Those are your 8 sections of Robben Island. The next when we do the show, we'll have to go to each and every section and tell the story of that section.
Yes.
But why was I raising this? Besides that I landed there, I'll talk about that. But why I was actually mentioning this is that you never hear, even when talking about the history of June 16, you never hear that there was a section on Robben Island allocated for all the children that were getting arrested in 1976. The first people to even go there it was a group called PE 33. Busaki Makozoma and Muntu. There were about 33 of them that came from PE, and they were called the trial. You see, our trial was called Soweto 11. I'm still coming to that. Theirs was called PE 33 because there were 33 coming from Port Elizabeth. And all children were locked in a section called Klephooiers, stone throwers. That is where some of better part of our lives were in Robben Island. But I'm coming to that. Oh, by the way, I've got to mention this. How small Seth was.
Yes, I'm trying to make myself small so I don't climb over you in this interview. Yes,
what happened at that time was that when we landed on Robben Island, I'm going to touch on our trial, but when we landed on Robben Island, sad was that I was the smallest. Do you know that I hardly had prison uniform that fitted me? And that meant nothing kwiBhulu ukuthi uthatha umntwana ngokumfaka.
That's what's
hurting me. And do you know what happened? I always joked about it that at Robben Island I was wearing a Mandela label, mainly because they started ukungithumela uniform.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're
a special black.
Yes. Then that's when it started, and that was the sad part of that. But one thing I must say though, is that in that situation as a Robben Island, I hope I'm not going to cry, we managed to turn lemons into lemonade. We disappointed Jimmy Kruger, who was the Minister of Police at that time and the Minister of Prisons. When they took us there, they thought they were destroying us. Sad for them. I came out there with a degree. I came out there with my matric certificate. And that alone gives you the spirit of 1976. That alone,
Resilience.
Exactly, that's the spirit that sometimes I feel our youth today lacks. They break easily. You guys break easily. It's because they turn on microwaves and listen to lizards. Yes, basithi umdoko manje sikhiwe sithi ungqushu andisawufuna nomngqushu nobiza yini sweet corns indoni.
I know. Don't judge us, but don't judge us. We were raised by one.
Yeah.
We're so proud.
But what is interesting is that, again, I was taking a group of young people the other time to Fort Prison, number 4 prison. I was taking them what is now called Con Hill.
Oh, okay.
Constitutional Hill. I took them to my cell. By the way, I got arrested on the 3rd of July, 1976. And Then there was a law called Section 6 of the Terrorism Act.
Does this go back to your brother? Sorry.
Yes, it is going to go back to
Because
my
we
brother.
need to finish that
I'm
circle.
coming to that.
Thank you.
But when I got arrested under Section 6 of the Terrorism Act of 1966.
What?
Yes. That allowed the government of the day to keep you in solitary confinement for not less than 18 months. Detention without trial.
What?
They keep and lock you in alone in a cell for 18 months. And in that period of 18 months, you get tortured. I always say this, it's not insulting, but I will tell you that I know Sibongile Mkhabela's nude. They will take pliers, pull my nipples, Kasbongile, in my presence. They will make boys, me, tighten up your bazokwazi pain, some of your crew members, tighten up your balls with a wire, make you squat, make you twine and connect it into a wire and make you pick up bricks on that. They will make you jump on niggles facing up. That's the cost. If you were to say, when Solomon Mahlangu said, the tree of liberation shall be watered by the blood of the martyrs. And let me assure you, when now today, some of us do not even know the fruit of the tree. We don't even know the shade of the tree. But we know that you go to these places, you'll stay in a cell. A cell where an ant will be your best friend. When they give you coffee, you would want to actually drop the coffee on the ground because you're inviting ants. You would want a fly to come into your cell because that fly is your friend for the day. Ibhunu will come in the middle of the night, come and fetch you, frustrate him fast, come in the middle of the night, just to come and torture you. These are untold stories, and that's what I'm saying, that I say to young people most of the time, part of what we've got to be doing is to actually literally take you young people to these places, take you into that cell, take you, maybe even keep you for an hour, and then ask you after that, how do you feel? Then after that, say to you, I was there for 18 months. And it's pain that we walk around with.
I was about to say, you guys never went for counseling.
It doesn't get out. I always, just on Friday.
You guys haven't gone for counseling, that's why you all got broken families.
No.
And you can't connect.
That is why we don't have families. That is why it comes out of that. And can I tell you, some of the anger that I see, even in some of our boys, I usually say it is because us as their fathers, yes, we never healed. Yeah. And we transfer this anger to these boys. And I think
you don't even know how to communicate to us as your children.
Yes,
you treat us with that same apartheid.
That is why you find it will be easy for an old man, Seth Mazibuko, to rape a baby. And I can rape umntana rape umntana. That's self-hate. It shows its head there. So there's a lot of, it is not a peace and reconciliation that could deal with that issue. That it was not the commission. That is why I did not go to that. To me, that peace and reconciliation, it has Act 1, Scene 2, cut into Zen. But let me tell you, they've not gone into dealing with the issues. And that is why, even today, some of us will look at any other race with another eye. They're about to see racist. We are not. Help us to heal. Tell me that now the other thing I said on Friday in this when I was speaking, I was saying, if you want to say there's something called social cohesion, that social cohesion must first start with a respect of my values, of my history, of where I'm coming from. Let me tell that first. Let me treat that. Then maybe I'll hug another person. I'm racist. But where I'm coming from is this, that we have not healed. Let me go back to where the story of my brother.
Yes, because we're
Morning of the 3rd of June. Actually, I came home. Auntie was staying in hiding. And I came home that morning. Yes, I just wanted to be with my mom. And then I came home around about 5 a.m. Then I took my mom to the bus station and my father. And in my coming back, I just decided, we were tired. I was very tired. And then I said, let me just take a nap on the couch. It's a wrong decision I've taken on the day. At about 8 o'clock, from both sides of my home, there were trucks and some police, and I'm a soldier. We came in. I was small. They asked me, where's Seth Mazibuko? Seth has gone to town, is working somewhere in town. And then they went into another room, asked my little brother, where's Seth Mazibuko? My brother said, pointed at me. That is how I got arrested. And it was said, my brother, I think in his grave even now, says, I sold out my brother when he gets to know that story. But that's for another day. But let me talk about you in the day. I can't miss that. Declare good. How were the gods of Africa so much with us, even on that day? Do you know that morning, when all students were going to converge in Vilakazi Street, corner of Vilakazi and Mwema Street, we were going to converge because the school that started
that
was
one
there.
by the memorial. Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened? The first group that came, that arrived at that corner, Mwema and Vilakazi Street. And then the police started throwing tear gas canisters. The fumes.
The wind
was
like,
like,
no way!
It was like, so it affected them more than us. Hello, we just come up to take up.
The custodians of spirituality.
And then the next thing, not only did that happen, then the next thing they decided, okay, it's bad here. Let's release the police dogs. Again, the God of Africa was with us. As they were unleashing the police dogs, they were stones, and we used them as weapons. We killed the dogs. Sorry, SPCA.
Yes. They could be a whole.
Killed the dogs with stones. So the gods of Africa had given us, yes. And, because we're just throwing. Yes, anything just to defend ourselves. And that is when then Smongile and Tembo's group, Naledi group.
Yes.
It was us, the police, as they were busy.
Yes.
They were coming behind.
Oh my God.
So they thought we were sandwiching them. Damn it. It was a bad thing that ever happened because they started now pushing in and now hitting with live bullets.
That's how Hector Pearson got hit.
That's the time in which really I get very emotional because that's the time we started counting bodies. And I won't forget when at that time Mama Winnie Mandela, Mama Sophie Tima, who used to work for the World newspaper, they were screaming at us as leaders. Stop. Seth, please, they're killing children, please. Let's go to, there's a hillock there. Let's go there and talk to the children. Let's go, please call them in and all those things. And in the afternoon of that day, this happened. The first actually to die was a boy called Hastings Ndlovu. Get that history right. And after that, then there was had. And after that, when we went with Uduma Ndlovu, who used to be a reporter at the time, when we went to Bara Hospital, we found bodies of children piled up. We were also children, so that is still here. I still live with corpses in my head. And the pain of the time, it is when you know that I led these children out of the classroom only to be killed by Amambu. And how then do we sit here and say we are free if those souls, some of them are not even accounted for to date? How do I sit in Parliament and call de Klerk honorable and embrace him? How? These are some of the things that I really cannot understand. Why do they happen when they're not supposed to be happening? That is why I'm saying some of the leadership we have today, abanye ngazuthi zange bebekhona, abanye ngazuthi ngithi abayizwa le nto ntsini, angazi maybe izwa yimi ngedwa, or maybe I'm too emotional, whatever. And that is why I'm saying we still need a Nuremberg trial.
We also still need counseling.
And maybe after Sithole people to account for those bodies, the counseling might be a second need. But to me, I still want to see abantu ababulalo head. Where is that policeman that pulled the trigger? Where is that policeman that pulled the trigger to kill Hastings Ndlovu? Where is that? I can count the whole list of them. That same night, they killed people in what now you call Eguruleni in Israel. It was called Israel. That same night, they killed many people in Alexander. That same week, they killed people at Konga. That same night, they killed people Kwalanga, Gwanyanga in Cape Town. That same week, they killed some of even our leaders, killed children at the University of Zululand. And then we still call them honorable member. We still say, let's hug.
Honorable members have given birth to Enyobeni Tavern.
Exactly. And I am saying, you look at what is happening now, you still see a lot of the black children. How do I transfer peace and love to my daughter, to my son, when I don't have it? How do I do that? So, and there's a pain that some people, when you walk around, we hide it. We don't want to show it. We don't even want to talk about it. And we know that inside we are dying.
Just to wrap up, can we go to Enyobeni Tavern to compare the youth, your youth and our youth? And
here's a 13-year-old dying a bar when Hector, at the age 13, was killed by Amabulu. And again it goes back. Labantwana died there are a direct result of showing being leaderless. Asikho. Le enzo labantwana babulawanga yi-drug that's why bangayifumani nangoku uba yintoni le babulele. They're not killed by anything but they're killed by us. Parents, us, government, because they're leaderless. Labantwana laba, they're valueless. And how do you get a 13-year-old finding pleasure at being in a shipin at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m.?
Right? At being a shipin?
Yes.
At 13?
At 13. That child tells you, I don't have a leader. I don't have a parent. I don't have guidance. And I'm lacking in anything that can keep me at home. So let me rather go and find pleasure in your being. And that is where, again, I still say, we still live and we're still killing our own children. And let me tell you, Soweto shooting, the tavern shooting, it's right across from where I stay. And I can tell you, again, it goes back. Where Why did people have to die in a place where they're supposed to be relaxing and then shooting and killing? It goes back. We are a society that has no values. We are being made naked. And in the room, our government, black as the government is, will rather build security and safety for white community and all that, but not for us.
Babu Seth, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing.
So, I'll tell you, whilst I've said all I've said, we threw stones in 1976. We went to Robben Island, worked in the quarry. We're breaking stones. Now, here's a new challenge to you, your viewers, and your age. It's time that we take these stones and we build.
Thank you.
Now it's time we shed blood for you. Don't shed blood anymore. Now it's time that we work our sweat and water and protect this church.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, I hope you had your pens and paper and writing things to take down the history. Beautiful session. Please don't forget who you are. This is Unpopular Opinion. I'll see you.
I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.